Yo, what is up, my friends? Welcome back into the podcast. Yet another episode of Crushing Fantasy Football. I am Bryce Lockridge, your host of the show. Guys, today I am going to be going over Week 5 predictions as far as betting for every single matchup on Sunday and for Monday Night Football. And I'm going to be going over the fantasy outlook on every single matchup as well. So I have a lot to get into today, guys. So I'm going to get right into it. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button below. It's going to help the channel out. And also, if you do like the video, give me a like today. That helps the channel tremendously as well. All right, guys, I'm going to get right into it, starting with the first matchup, the Falcons versus the Jets. It's the Falcons -3 in this game. Guys, this is easily the worst game of the entire week as far as the two teams that are playing each other. Guys, both these teams are really bad. They have terrible defenses. I think in this game, the biggest difference maker is going to be the quarterback position. I mean, we got a rookie quarterback going up against a very experienced quarterback who isn't as good as he once was, but is still a very good quarterback. I would just feel so stupid betting against Matt Ryan in this game. It's a neutral site, so there's no home field advantage, and it's just a 3-point spread. So I just got to put my money on the Falcons here, guys, and I think they're the better team. The Jets won a game last weekend, but they played probably their best game of the year, and I wouldn't expect them to play that well every week. I've just got to go with the Falcons here, guys. Cordero Patterson's playing out of his mind, so, hey, maybe they have something going there. I doubt it, but it should be good enough to beat the Jets. And as far as the fantasy outlook, guys, starting Cordero Patterson is a good idea for your flex. I wouldn't put much stock in him as a running back 2. So don't go too crazy with them. Calvin Ridley is a wide receiver 2 option at best, maybe even a flex option. The dude has underperformed significantly, but he should still be in your starting lineup. Just can't trust him as your wide receiver 1. You've got to look for somebody better at your wide receiver 1 spot. On the Jets side of the ball, Corey Davis had another great week last week. He's had 2 boom weeks so far in the year, 2 weeks where he's busted. I think this is going to be a good game for Corey Davis. This is going to be a matchup-dependent wide receiver. You don't really want to start him in tough defensive matchups, but the Falcons' defense is absolutely terrible. And considering the Jets are going to be trying to force the ball upfield, they should be targeting Corey Davis a lot, and this should be another boom game for Corey Davis. So start Corey Davis this week. Okay, guys, the next game on the slate, we've got the Vikings and Lions. Vikings -9.5. I think a lot of people aren't confident in the Vikings -9.5 here, but look, guys, it's in Minneapolis. And the Vikings are way, way better than their record suggests. This team is notorious for pounding the rock with Dalvin Cook. Any team with an elite run game playing against the Lions is probably going to absolutely bludgeon the Lions because they cannot stop the run. They have by far the worst run defense in the NFL. I actually like the Vikings -9.5 here. Some people probably think that's too much, but I really think the Vikings are going to come out at home and just absolutely murder the Lions this weekend. So I'm actually taking the Vikings at -9.5 as far as the fantasy outlook. Obviously, you're starting Dalvin Cook. You're starting Justin Jefferson. You're starting Adam Thielen. If you are a KJ Osborne owner, he is a flex option at best, but I think he could definitely be a flex this week due to the fact that they're just playing an extremely weak defense. Just know that his production is going to be a little bit boom or bust, and you absolutely cannot play him as a wide receiver 2. On the Lions side of the ball, you're definitely starting DeAndre Swift. And he's probably the only player on the Lions that you're going to be starting, but this dude is a dual threat running back. He's been very good this season. He's boomed in 2 out of his first 4 weeks, and he's becoming more and more the focal point of the offense. This dude is a top 15 running back every week going forward, so you're definitely starting DeAndre Swift. Everyone else needs to be on your bench. All right, guys. The next game, we got the Saints and the Washington football team. Saints -2. This is an interesting one, guys. Both teams are supposed to have really good defenses. The Saints' defense has been pretty good this year. The Washington football team's defense has actually been terrible. Saints -2 in Washington. I'm just not buying the Saints being a favorite in this game. I don't think they're necessarily a better team than the Washington football team. They had that great week 1 against the Packers, but I don't trust Jameis Winston as a quarterback. I just don't. And in this game, look, Taylor Heineke and the Washington football team have been playing better from an offensive standpoint than we thought they would. This team kind of has a different identity than what we expected. We expected a dominant defensive team that wasn't really good as far as moving the ball, but had a great defense. It's quite the opposite. Their offense looks a lot better. Terry McLaurin is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, guys. That's why they're able to move the ball so successfully. And they've got the two backs that are producing for him. Not only is Antonio Gibson being the productive running back that we knew he would, but J.D. McKissic is also helping them move the ball down the field. So I think their offense is a little bit better than we thought it was. And at home, I think they're just gonna beat the Saints straight up. I really do. I don't buy the Saints -2 in this game whatsoever. I would put your money on the Washington football team. As far as the fantasy outlook, you're obviously starting Alvin Kamara as you are every week. This dude is getting more rushing volume than he has in his entire career. You got to think the passing volume is going to go up because it is Alvin Kamara, and they're going to get him involved more in the passing game at some point. You don't want to start any of the wide receivers on the Saints. You don't want to start Jameis Winston. There's just really nobody on this team you want to start besides Alvin Kamara. On the other side of the ball for the Washington football team, you are definitely starting Terry McLaurin. This dude is a locked-in wide receiver one for the entire season. He has a massive target share. The offense runs through Terry McLaurin, not Antonio Gibson. So this dude's going to be one of the best wide receivers in fantasy this year, and you're definitely starting him. Do not play Taylor Heineke. I like what he's done so far, but he's still not a relevant fantasy starter. Antonio Gibson definitely needs to be in your starting lineup. He's a little bit of a disappointment so far because J.D. freaking McKissic keeps stealing all his third down work, but he's definitely still a really good running back 2 option for the week. Going on to my next game, we are looking at the Patriots versus the Texans. Patriots -9 in this game. They are giving the Patriots way too much here, guys. It's a home game at Houston. Houston looked so bad last week against the Bills, but people don't realize how good of a team the Buffalo Bills are. They can make a lot of people look really bad. And Houston, against weaker opponents this year, even in the Carolina game, they kept the game close with Davis Mills at quarterback. I think that Davis Mills, he definitely didn't look good last week, but that Buffalo defense is stout, guys. Don't make too much of that. This game should definitely be closer. I just don't think that the Patriots are good enough to be getting 9 points here. It should be an interesting one, but the point is, the New England Patriots will have success in the run game, a little bit of success in the passing game, but they're just not 9 points better than the Houston Texans, especially at Houston. So I just absolutely cannot bet on the Patriots this game. You want to put your money on the Houston Texans this game, guys, I assure you. As far as the fantasy outlook, I would start both Jacoby Myers and Damian Williams. The Texans do have a bad run defense, so Damian Williams should have a pretty good game. I do expect the Patriots to win. I'm not buying -9, but I do expect the Patriots to win, meaning they're going to be playing with the lead, so Damian Williams should have a lot of touches. 20 to 25 touches for this game for Damian Williams is about right. So you definitely want to start Damian Williams. You definitely want to start Jacoby Myers. He's the emerging slot receiver for the team. Dude gets a ton of volume. He gets peppered with targets, and he could end up being the clear wide receiver 1. So I'm definitely starting him at my flex this week. On the other side of the ball, the only player you want to start on the Texans is Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has had 3 out of his first 4 games for double-digit fantasy points. 2 out of his first 4 games had 100 yards receiving. They forced this dude the ball because they have no other way to move the ball. They don't trust their running game. So due to the volume and the talent, you're starting Brandon Cooks. My next game for the week is the Dolphins and the Bucs. This is an interesting one, guys, because they're giving the Bucs 10 points at home, and I'm just not buying this. The secondary is way too banged up for them to have an elite defensive performance. Obviously the Miami Dolphins don't have the best offense. They've got a lot of question marks. Their running game is a complete mess. However, they do have some talented wide receivers in Will Fuller and Jalen Waddle, and I think they will be able to move the ball down the field in the passing game against the Bucs. As teams have passed against the Bucs like crazy this year. So I just don't trust the Bucs secondary enough for them to be a 10-point favorite in this game, even at home. The people are selling out for the names, Tom Brady, Vita Vea, Dominican Sue, but this team really has, despite their record, they've been involved in a lot of close games, and their passing defense is absolutely terrible. They have the most banged-up secondary in the entire NFL, so there's no way I could favor them by 10 points in this game, so I'm taking the Dolphins in this bet without hesitation. So definitely bet your money on the Miami Dolphins. As far as the fantasy outlook, you want to start Tom Brady, you want to start Mike Evans, you want to start Chris Godwin, definitely start Antonio Brown. You're literally starting all 3 of the stud Bucs wide receivers because you're doing this every week, regardless of the matchup. The Miami Dolphins do actually have some pretty tough cornerbacks, But, due to their volume and talent alone and the fact that, they're just going to be being peppered with targets in every game all season, regardless of the matchup. You want to start all three stud Bucs wide receivers. Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Start all of them. Start Tom Brady. Those are the four players that you want to start on the team. Obviously, Gronk is out, so you don't have to worry about that. But, start Tom Brady and the three stud wide receivers. On the other side of the ball for the Miami Dolphins, due to them having a banged-up secondary, I'm going to take a risk right here and say to start Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle is going to have his best game of the season. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to have to pass the ball like crazy to keep up with the Bucs, as they do have a pretty good offense, or a very good offense, actually. So this favors Jalen Waddle. He is their biggest weapon in the wide receiving game. I don't care what anybody says. This dude's the most talented wide receiver on the team. They're probably going to be forcing him the ball in this game because they can't run the ball worth a shit, and they're going to have to keep up with the Bucs. And the Bucs have a bad secondary, so look for Jalen Waddle to have a huge breakout fantasy performance in this game. My next matchup, Packers versus Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, Packers -3. Guys, Packers -3 in Cincinnati. I'm taking the Packers in this game. This might not be a popular opinion. I think a lot of people are going to want to take Cincinnati in this game because they think that these teams are actually evenly matched. I'm telling you right now, guys, Aaron Rodgers is on a mission. And they're not going to have any answer for Aaron Jones. That's the problem. The Cincinnati Bengals do not have the defensive capability to stop Aaron Jones. This is going to be a huge boom game for Aaron Jones, and the Packers are going to run the ball all over these guys. That's going to set up big passing plays for the Packers, and look for Devontae Adams to have a huge bounce-back week. I just think that the Packers offense is going to fly high against this Bengals team and score possibly 40 points in this game. The Bengals will be able to counter with some of the offense of their own, as they do have a lot of offensive weapons, but the Packers are just going to be scoring too much for the Bengals to keep up in this game. They just don't have the answers on defense to stop the Packers. So I definitely see the Packers covering the spread in this game. And, Packers -3, they're going to beat the Bengals by more than 3 points, guys. You can put your money on it. So bet on the Packers this week. As far as the fantasy outlook, you're always starting Aaron Jones. That's quite obvious. A.J. Dillon needs to be on your bench. He's not productive enough yet. And Devontae Adams is an obvious start. You definitely want to start Aaron Rodgers. But other than those three, you don't really want to start anyone else on the Packers. On the other side of the ball, definitely start Jamar Chase, guys. Jamar Chase looks like he's going to be the guy in Cincinnati, and that is very, very good to see. I had T. Higgins being the number one receiver going into the year. He's still a little bit banged up. We don't know if he's going to play. Either way, even if T. Higgins does play, Jamar Chase is the one receiver on the team that you really want to play. I would fade Tyler Boyd, and if T. Higgins plays, I would fade T. Higgins. You're definitely wanting to play Jamar Chase in this game. And actually, guys, don't be afraid to start Joe Burrow. Like I said, even though I think the Bengals are going to get beat up in this game, they will be able to counter with some offense, and I think that Joe Burrow will put up a pretty good game. So if you need a quarterback streaming option, Joe Burrow is a good choice. Next game on the slate, we have the Broncos and the Steelers. 3-1 Broncos, 1-3 Steelers. Guys, I just, the Steelers are -1 in this game, and I'm just not buying it. I don't trust the Steelers at all. Their offense hasn't shown that they can move the ball whatsoever. Obviously, the Broncos are banged up at quarterback, but they have a really, really good defense, and I just think this is going to be a very low-scoring game overall. I don't think either team is going to be moving the ball very efficiently due to the injuries that the Broncos have on offense, and the Steelers just, quite frankly, suck at moving the football, and the Broncos defense is way too good. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game, and I think that the Broncos defense is going to be the X factor, make the biggest difference here, as they are the biggest difference-making unit on either side of the ball. So I'm betting on the Broncos defense in this game, and I think the Broncos are going to beat the Steelers straight up. So put your money on the Broncos. As far as fantasy-relevant players, you don't really want to start anyone on the Broncos. Obviously Bridgewater's hurt. You can't trust the receivers. You can't trust the running game. The only Bronco you want to start is the Broncos defense. That's it. You should definitely start the Broncos defense in fantasy, but that's the only player on the Broncos. On the other side of the ball, the only person you want to start is Najee Harris, and you are starting him due to the elite volume that he receives. They're relying so much on the check down this year because Big Ben's arm strength is it's leaving him. He doesn't have any of his arm strength left. So they're checking down to Najee Harris and the slot receivers like crazy. I say Najee's the only start, but you could also start Deontay Johnson. I'm sorry. I misspoke on that. You could definitely start Deontay Johnson as well, because slot receivers are going to dominate for Pittsburgh this year. Deontay Johnson will be by far the most productive Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver. So start him this week and start Najee Harris, obviously. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Panthers and the Eagles, Carolina -3. Guys, this is one of the trickier games of the week. The Eagles have been playing pretty well despite having a 1-3 record. Panthers -3 in Charlotte. Guys, I'm gonna have to take the Panthers here. Look, they're a good football team. They were made to look bad last week against the Dallas Cowboys, but the Dallas Cowboys have a very, very good offense. I would even say that the Cowboys have an unstoppable offense. There's really just no defense that can match up to the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care if it's the Bills or the Broncos or whoever it is. There's no defense that can match up with the Cowboys. They're going to make any defense look bad. So they make Carolina's defense look bad, but keep in mind this is a very, very good defensive unit. This is a top 5 defensive unit in football. And there is no way that this Eagles team is going to be able to move the ball successfully on Carolina. I don't care how good Jalen Hurts has looked. I don't care how good the offense has looked. It's fluky, guys. This offense does not have the firepower to move the ball on a legitimate defense on the road. It's absolutely crazy if you think the Eagles are going to compete in this game. They're going to lose by more than 10 points. I mean, it's interesting because, Jalen Hurts has some positive momentum going on right now, but you cannot trust this offense to move the ball in Carolina. That is just stupid. Carolina is going to win this game pretty handily at home, so you want to put your money on the Panthers in this game. As far as a fantasy standpoint, it looks like Christian McCaffrey might be back. I don't think it's going to make a difference as far as the outcome of the game either way. The Panthers are going to destroy the Eagles whether McCaffrey plays or not. But if McCaffrey plays, you're obviously starting him. That's just a given. You obviously want to start DJ Moore. Anybody that watched my wide receiver rankings videos for the rest of the season knows how big I am at DJ Moore. I have him as the 2 wide receiver on the entire season going forward. So he's a clear-cut start every single week. And guys, go ahead and start Sam Darnold. If you need a quarterback streaming option, or even if your starter has underperformed this year, Sam Darnold might be really good in this game. And I think he's actually going to be a decent fantasy quarterback going forward this year. Don't expect him to continue to have the rushing volume that he's had. That's a little bit of a fluke. But the point is, this offense is actually really good at moving the ball. Him and DJ Moore have a very good connection, and he's going to put up solid fantasy numbers every week. So start McCaffrey and DJ Moore and Sam Darnold. Do not start Robbie Anderson whatsoever. Don't start Terrence Marshall. And that's the fantasy outlook for Carolina. On the other side of the ball for the Eagles, you can definitely start Jalen Hurts. I don't think that they are going to be able to move the ball successfully against Carolina, like I said. But considering the fact that he's a dual-threat quarterback and he's going to get you some rushing yards, I think he's a viable streaming option. I know he's the number 3 quarterback in fantasy football right now, but I wouldn't bring that to this game with a whole lot of merit because they're still not going to be able to move the ball on this Carolina defense. So you're really only starting Jalen Hurts if you don't have any other good options. And as a streaming option, you might want to look for a better starter this week. But he is playable if you are in an emergency situation. Moving on to the next game, we've got the Titans and the Jaguars. All right, so it's in Florida. It's -4.5 for the Titans. Guys, call me crazy, but I'm gonna take Jacksonville in this game. I'm just not buying the Titans' offense being that good. I mean, they force feed the ball to Derrick Henry, but I think the Jaguars' run defense is a lot more stout than people think it is. They looked actually really good against the Bengals last week. Obviously, Derrick Henry's kind of a different animal, but I just don't see him having that monster Derrick Henry game this week. Even though he's going to be getting a ton of volume, I think that the Jags' run defense is way better than people give them credit for. And the Titans just don't have any other threats. I mean, Julio Jones is out for sure. A.J. Brown might be out. So there's the possibility that the Titans go into this game with no other weapons besides Derrick Henry. And the Jags are just going to be stacking the box against Derrick Henry and playing to stop the run. And, I don't care how good your running back is. If a team knows the run is coming, they're going to stuff the run. Derrick Henry's not going to be able to move the ball in this game like people think that he is. And on top of that, the Jaguars are starting to find their stride. Trevor Lawrence is looking a little bit better. They're moving the ball a lot better because Urban Meyer, that crazy Urban Meyer, finally figured out that he needed to involve James Robinson in the offense if he wants to move the ball successfully. So their offense is kind of a run-first identity now, and they're moving the ball a heck of a lot better. As far as the fantasy outlook, you're obviously starting Derrick Henry. If A.J. Brown plays, you're starting A.J. Brown. I would not start Ryan Tannehill. And those are really the only players you want to start on the Titans. On the other side of the ball, there's actually a lot of fantasy-relevant players for the Jags this week. Don't start Trevor Lawrence. I just don't trust him yet for fantasy. Definitely start James Robinson. He's going to run all over these boys. This is a very, very good and underrated running back, and you want to start him every single week regardless of the matchup. They're finally giving him the volume he deserves. Just start both wide receivers. With DJ Chark out, both Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones should have very good fantasy performances. They're obviously going to have to pass at some point. They can't only run James Robinson. And so Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones are going to eat in this game, and you want to start both of them. Okay, guys, on to the next matchup, which is going to be the Chargers and the Browns. Guys, this is by far the most exciting game of the week, in my opinion. The Chargers are getting 2 points at home against the Cleveland Browns. This is a very tough game to call because these are two very, very good teams. Guys, I want to bet on the Chargers because we saw how good they looked last week against the Oakland Raiders. But this Browns team is so much better than people give them credit for, so it makes them tough. This is a toss-up matchup, but I don't think the Chargers are going to beat the Browns, and I know that's not popular opinion. Almost everybody probably has the Chargers in this game, but the problem is the Browns' running game is just completely and totally unstoppable. So to base the outcome of this game on the Chargers' defense, and they do have a great defense, but it's just silly because nobody can stop Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It does not matter the defensive matchup. This team is going to insist on being a run-first team no matter who they're playing, no matter what defense they're going up against, and they are going to run the ball at will. The point is they're coming at you with two of the best running backs in football, and they can just – Nick Chubb gets the majority of the carries, but Kareem Hunt gets a lot of work as well because, they beat you up with Nick Chubb, and then they bring in fresh legs in Kareem Hunt that is just as talented as their starting running back. It's an absolutely unstoppable running game. The offensive line is way too good. They run through massive holes. Baker Mayfield's having a pretty good season as well. So this offense for the Browns is just really, really good. They've got a great defensive front led by Myles Garrett, and I just think that they're the better team than the Chargers. People are very high on the Chargers right now, but I think the Browns are a better team, and mainly because their run game is completely and totally unstoppable. They can put up a lot of points on you, and they can control the clock with their dominant ability to run the football. So I'm putting my money on the Browns this game, guys. I think there's a really good chance that the Browns win this game on the road. As far as a fantasy outlook, you're obviously starting Justin Herbert. You're starting Austin Eckler. You're starting both Chargers wide receivers. Even though I think the Browns are going to win this game, I think it's going to be high scoring, and I think that both of the Chargers wide receivers are going to be pretty good. They've been getting peppered with targets all season long. They have a stud quarterback getting on the ball. So start both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. On the Browns side of the ball, obviously you're going to be starting Nick Chubb. Definitely start Kareem Hunt. Don't let the fact that he's a backup running back stop you from starting Kareem Hunt, guys. Kareem Hunt is one of the best running backs in the NFL. He gets a lot of goal line work, and he's running behind an elite offensive line. He's an absolute must-start every week. He's a legitimate high-end running back, too. Don't start Baker Mayfield. And definitely don't start Odell Beckham Jr. I know this is going to be a high-scoring game, but I just think they're going to rely so heavily on the run like they always do, even up against a tough run defense, that I just don't want to start anyone except for the Browns running backs. So that's my analysis for that game. And then the next game on the slate, we got the Vegas Raiders at the Bears. It's in Las Vegas, and the Raiders are favored by 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders in this game, guys. I know that the run defense has been really bad, and the Bears probably will be able to run the ball significantly against the Raiders with Damian Williams. But I am buying into all the Derek Carr hype, guys. I think that this dude is a way better quarterback than people give them credit for. And Josh Jacobs is healthy again, guys. This team was moving the ball very successfully without Josh Jacobs. Now they have their stud workhorse running back in their lineup. Guys, this team can now beat you with the run and the pass, and they're going to be very, very dangerous. In Las Vegas, a home game. favored by 5.5 points. I definitely think that they're going to beat the Bears by more than a touchdown, guys. The Bears are not a good football team. Justin Fields is a rookie quarterback. We can't trust him to run the offense yet. The best thing that the Bears have is their defense, and their defense is not going to be good enough to stop the Raiders. Their defense is not anywhere near good enough to stop this Raiders offense, especially with a healthy Josh Jacobs. I see this game being a blowout, guys. The Raiders are going to win by more than 10 points, so you can put your money confidently on the Raiders to win this game. And as far as the fantasy outlook, guys, go ahead and start Derek Carr. You probably picked him up off the waiver wire, but he's a starting caliber quarterback by now. And also start Josh Jacobs, guys. Josh Jacobs is going to be a beast this year. I know it's been a very slow start. He had the injury early in the season, and he hasn't really gotten to shine yet. But the point is, this team really trusts Josh Jacobs as far as just giving him the volume that he deserves as a workhorse running back. And he's the product of a great Raiders offense, so he's always going to have scoring opportunities. So definitely start Derek Carr and Josh Jacobs. You're definitely starting Darren Waller as you're starting Darren Waller every week, but that's a given. Guys, fade Hunter Renfrow and Henry Ruggs for now. I know there's some hype going on around the Raiders wide receivers, but keep in mind that Josh Jacobs is back and Darren Waller is still always going to be the most heavily targeted pass catcher on this team. So go ahead and fade the wide receivers for the Vegas Raiders for now. On the other side of the ball, you could definitely start Damian Williams for the Bears, but that's the only player you want to start. Don't start Justin Fields or any of the wide receivers. Definitely start Damian Williams because the Raiders do have a pretty weak run defense. And Damian Williams is a talented dual threat running back. He can beat you in the running game and the passing game. So you definitely want to start Damian Williams in this game, but fade every other player on the Bears. So the next game for the slate is going to be the Arizona Cardinals and the San Francisco 49ers. The game is in Arizona, and they're giving Arizona 5.5 points. Guys, I hate to say it, but I'm sold on the Cardinals. I mean, look, they're 4-0. They just beat the crap out of a very good Rams team. And I just don't think anyone can stop this offense. Obviously, the 49ers have a really good defense. But, in this new era of NFL, I give the nod to the great offenses over the great defenses. I know the defense wins championships and all that, but there's just no defense that can stop this Arizona Cardinals team. They have front runner for MVP Kyler Murray throwing the ball. They have a plethora of wide receiving weapons. They have the dual threat back, Chase Edmonds, that can beat the crap out of you out of the backfield. And this team is just way too good to be stopped. They're going to win by more than 5.5 points, guys. You can bank on it. And I'm definitely putting my money on the Cardinals in this game. From a fantasy standpoint, you're obviously starting Kyler Murray. Start DeAndre Hopkins, although he's pissing me off with his target share this year. He's not getting targeted enough, but it is DeAndre Hopkins. It is the Cardinals offense, so you have to play DeAndre Hopkins. Fade every other Cardinals wide receiver, and definitely start Chase Edmonds, guys. Chase Edmonds has been a beast this year, hasn't been able to score a touchdown yet, and yet is producing elite fantasy numbers. When this dude starts getting in the end zone, he's going to be an absolute monster, and he's a solid flex for the week. On the other side of the ball for the 49ers, guys, I don't trust anyone in the 49ers backfield. Don't start any other running backs. They're going to be playing from behind in this game. So you're going to want to start both George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel is clearly the man in the wide receiving game. And George Kittle has been a little bit quiet so far this year, but it's George freaking Kittle. Expect him to bounce back in a huge game against this Cardinals team because they're going to be playing from behind, and they're going to need to use George Kittle if they want any chance to win. Next game for the week is the Cowboys and the Giants. Cowboys are favored by 7 at home. Guys, this is going to be a very lopsided game. Anyone that thinks that the Giants can keep up in this game just because it's a divisional game is an idiot. There's not a whole lot of guarantees in football, but guys, the Cowboys are going to run over the Giants this week. We're talking about one of the best teams in the NFL in the Dallas Cowboys. The defense has been a tremendous surprise this year. The offense is completely and totally unstoppable. The Giants are just not going to have any answer for the Cowboys. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball very well. I mean, they got injuries, at their wide receiver position, and Daniel Jones is playing well. But, guys, it's Daniel Jones. Do you really take this guy seriously as being able to beat the Dallas Cowboys? Give me a break. The Cowboys are going to win this game by 20 freaking points. Put your money on the Cowboys. This is one of the easiest bets of the entire week. As far as a fantasy standpoint, you're obviously going to want to start Zeke. The dude's been a monster. There's really not much to go into there. You're starting Ezekiel Elliott. You're starting Dak Prescott. CeeDee Lamb has been down a little bit, but don't be afraid to start CeeDee Lamb at your wide receiver 2 or your flex. You should have a big bounce back week against the Giants team that doesn't really have that great of a defense. You're starting Amari Cooper this week. And don't be afraid to start Tony Pollard at your flex position because this dude is one of the best running backs in football from a yards per carry standpoint. On the other side of the ball for the New York Giants, we've got don't start anybody on this team except for Saquon, guys. You can't trust any of the wide receivers as they're never consistent. And Saquon Barkley is emerging back into fantasy superstardom. I think he should be able to run the ball very easily on the Cowboys, but that's really the only good thing that the Giants will have going for them in this game is Saquon. So start him, but fade everyone else. The next game on the Sunday slate is going to be, we got the Chiefs and the Bills. Guys, this is going to be the best game of the entire week. This is the Sunday night game. It's going to be very, very exciting to watch on Sunday night. I can't wait for this. The Chiefs are favored by 2.5 at Arrowhead. Guys, I got to take the Chiefs in this game. I know a lot of people are going to be taking the Bills because of how good they've looked recently, but they've played some pretty weak opponents. I mean, they just beat the Texans 40-0, which is great and everything, but it's the Texans. You can't base anything off that. The Chiefs have one of those offenses they're just totally unstoppable. It doesn't matter how good the Bills' defense is, guys. The Bills' defense cannot stop Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and McCole Hardman. This Chiefs' offense is way too good. It's very hard to go to Arrowhead and win a game. I would never, ever favor any team at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. I don't care how good the team is. If it's at Arrowhead, the Chiefs are the favorite. They're only favored by 2.5 points. I think they're going to beat the Bills by more than that. It should be a relatively close game because the Bills are very good, but the Chiefs are probably going to win by a touchdown. I'm really confident that they will. And so I'm putting my money on the Chiefs this week, guys. As far as a fantasy standpoint is concerned, you're obviously starting Patrick Mahomes. That's a given. You're starting Tyreek Hill every single week. You're starting Travis Kelce every single week. The other role-playing wide receivers for the team just can't be trusted because when it comes to them, they end up spreading the ball around. You can't start McCole Hardman with confidence or any of the other wide receivers with confidence. So bench all the other wide receivers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a tough one this week, guys, because it's a really tough defense. I actually you're going to start Clyde Edwards-Helaire because it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's a good running back playing for a great offense. But to me, he's just a low-end 2 or a flex option this week because it's a really stout Bills defense. It's going to be a very, very high-scoring game. There's going to be a lot of passing. I just don't see Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting a whole lot going on the ground against the Bills. I don't want to say to bench him. You're definitely starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but you might want to look for a better running back 2 option and play Helaire at your flex. On the other side of the ball, the Bills have a lot of fantasy-relevant studs. You're definitely starting Josh Allen in what's going to be a very high-scoring game. The running backs, I would fade the Bills. God, it's just so tough. Like, the Bills running backs in this game, you can't trust them, first of all, because they're splitting carries. Second of all, they're touchdown dependent. Third of all, I just think that this is going to be such a pass-happy game that the running backs for the Bills just can't really be trusted. You're definitely starting Stephon Diggs in this game. I would start the tight end Dawson Knox as he's been very good this year. And if you picked up Dawson Knox off the waiver wire, definitely start him at your tight end position. He's going to have a huge boom game this week. You're obviously starting Stephon Diggs, and you're definitely starting Emmanuel Sanders as well, as there's going to be a very pass-happy attack going on in this game for the Buffalo Bills. Next game is going to be the sorry, I passed over the Monday Night Football game, final game of the week. So the Baltimore Ravens and the Indianapolis Colts. Ravens -7. It's in Baltimore, guys. I got to take the Ravens in this game. Look, the Colts have not been able to run the ball effectively, even with Jonathan Taylor, all season long. And the Ravens have a really good run defense. They're playing at home. The only reason the Colts ran the ball successfully last week is because they were playing the Dolphins. Don't think that that's Jonathan Taylor's bounce back party or anything like that. They are not going to be able to run the ball on the Ravens. Okay, it's hard to run the ball on the Ravens. They have a pretty stout run defense. It's in Baltimore, and all the Colts are going to do is end up force-feeding Michael Pittman Jr. the ball because they're not able to move the ball. They won't be able to get much going on offense at all. Their defense has absolutely no capability whatsoever of stopping Lamar Jackson or Marquise Brown. This is going to be a very lopsided game in Baltimore, and I would definitely put your money on the Ravens. Guys, this is one of the easiest bets of the week. I think the Cowboys are the easiest bet of the week, but this is probably the next easiest bet of the week. If you don't put your money on the Ravens in this game, you're crazy. All right. As far as a fantasy outlook, you're definitely starting Lamar Jackson. You're definitely starting Marquise Brown. Can't really trust any of the Ravens running backs. I just don't trust the Ravens running backs to be consistent because Lamar Jackson is the running back for the team. He takes all the rushing yardage away from the running back. So I'm never starting a Ravens running back unless it's just a really, really juicy matchup. And even then, they had a juicy matchup against the Lions a few weeks ago, and the running backs didn't really show up. So you don't want to start Ravens running backs. This game is going to be all Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown. On the other side of the ball, the only player I'm starting on the Colts is Michael Pittman Jr. Whenever they are struggling to move the ball in the run game, they end up forcing Michael Pittman Jr. the ball because he's an alpha male wide receiver, and he's the only player they trust to get them first downs. So start Michael Pittman Jr. All right, guys, that is it for my betting outlook and for my fantasy outlook for week 5 of the fantasy football season. I hope this video helped. Good luck on your bets this week, guys, and good luck in your fantasy football. I am going to be getting at you tomorrow. I don't know what exact video I'm going to be doing tomorrow, but it's gonna be juicy, guys. I got another long video for you guys tomorrow. So I do appreciate you tuning into the video today, guys. If you did enjoy the content, make sure to give me a thumbs up. And do subscribe to the channel, as that helps my channel tremendously. Guys, I'm having a blast doing this so far, and thanks for the support. Have a good day.